Chapter 1 Bind Xiao Xun'er, 10 times feedback. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the routine test meeting of the Xiao family. Xiao Yan. Dou Qi. Fourth stage. The middle-aged man who presided over the test was also stunned, looking at Xiao Yan in surprise. The words of the middle-aged man also stirred up 1,000 waves. The children of the Xiao family who were waiting for the test were also surprised, with puzzled eyes, shock, unbelievable, and all kinds of emotions. The reason for such performance is that Xiao Yan is a rare genius in the Xiao family. In 100 years, a year ago, Xiao Yan was tested here. On the test magic stone, there were 4 big golden words shining, 1-star doja. It caused a sensation in the entire Xiao family, and even became famous in Wutan City. An 11-year-old 1-star doja, an absolute genius, with unlimited future achievements. The Xiao family is even imagining that Xiao Yan will grow up in the future and lead the family to glory. And in this year, Xiao Yan did not disappoint everyone. He worked harder in cultivation and almost cut off contact with outsiders. When the Xiao family members saw Xiao Yan, he was in a hurry most of the time. Sometimes they might not see him once every 10 days or half a month, because he would stay in his room to practice. The only person who had a lot of contact with Xiao Yan was probably his younger brother, Xiao Ze, the 4th young master of the Xiao family. Xiao Yan's hard work satisfied most of the elders of the Xiao family, and they even used Xiao Yan to spur their children. Look at how hard Xiao Yan works, even though he is so talented. Don't you know to practice harder? This is the most common words heard by the younger generation of the Xiao family this year. Even the eldest elder of the Xiao family, who was at odds with the head of the Xiao family, said this to his grandson Xiao Ning. Let him learn from Xiao Yan's hard work and not be idle all day. However, Xiao Yan, the most talented person in the Xiao family in the past 100 years, has practiced hard for a year. His cultivation has not improved but regressed, and he has fallen to the level of doja, and even slipped to the level of Daziki 4th stage. This is the most shocking thing for the Xiao family members who are watching around. After the shock, there are discussions. What's going on? Isn't Master Xiao Yan a 1-star fighter? Is the test magic stone broken? How could it be broken? I was the last one to test it, and it was extremely accurate, and the fighting spirit was at the 5th stage. So what's going on with Master Xiao Yan now? What else could it be? His strength has regressed. On the test stand, Xiao Yan clenched his fists. The shocked and unbelievable eyes of the people below the stage, and the doubtful discussions, all deeply hurt his heart. Ever since he fell from the fighter, he had already mentally preset this situation and was mentally prepared, but when it really happened, he still felt so uncomfortable. Xiao Yan walked off the stage without saying a word, ignoring everyone's discussion, and left directly, on a small hill outside the square. Xiao Ze leaned against a tree, resting his head on his hands, looking leisurely. Finally, it's 3 years before the plot begins. I, the 3rd brother, will have to accept 3 years of sarcasm and ridicule. Xiao Ze is also a time traveler. When he started practicing at the age of 4, he found that he had a binding feedback system. When the bound person becomes stronger, he will be able to get 10 times the feedback at the same time. These 2 choices were once placed in front of Xiao Ze. One is the son of the world, Xiao Yan, who will achieve the name of Yendi in the future. The other is the proud daughter of heaven, Xiao Xun'er, who has terrifying talent and a deep background. After careful consideration, Xiao Ze decided to choose Xiao Xun'er as the binding object. Xiao Yan has a promising future, but his fate is full of twists and turns. It can be said that his success is almost impossible to replicate. If you are not careful, or even lack willpower, you will die instantly. Especially when Xiao Yan finally accepted the inheritance of the ancient emperor, his body was burst countless times, and he was able to survive entirely because of his rock-hard mind. Xiao Yan's growth path in the early stage was also quite difficult, especially absorbing the strange fire, which was extremely risky. Compared with Xiao Yan, Xiao Xun'er's growth path was particularly smooth. With top talent and amazing background, Xiao Xun'er's cultivation is often not worse than Xiao Yan, and even surpasses him in combat power. Xiao Xun'er's personal bodyguard is a high-level Douhuang. In the land of Jiama Empire, basically no one can threaten her life. Even if her life can be threatened, her father who is at the peak of Dou Sheng, didn't he leave any means of protection? In addition, Xiao Xun'er's identity as the eldest daughter of the ancient clan basically guarantees that she will be at the peak of Dou Sheng. Two broad roads, Xiao Ze can choose. In the end, Xiao Ze still chose Xiao Xun'er because it is safer. After all, Xiao Yan may have an accident at any time. How much impact will his appearance have on Xiao Yan, whether he can continue to uphold the fate of the protagonist? Xiao Ze does not know. He has a plug-in, plus Xiao Xun'er guarantees the peak of Dou Sheng. It should not be a problem for him to become a Dou Emperor. Therefore, Xiao Ze decisively chooses Xiao Xun'er as the binding object. Ding. Xiao Xun'er's strength has increased, reaching the 9th stage of Dou Qi. The host has received 10 times the feedback. Congratulations to the host for increasing his strength to a 9-star doja. Xiao Ze looked at the prompt that appeared this morning with a smile in his eyes. After receiving the reward, he can break through from 8-star to 9-star fighter. Brother Xiao Ze is very happy here alone. That the girl's delicate voice suddenly sounded. Xiao Xun'er put her hands behind her back, leaned forward slightly, and playfully leaned out from behind Xiao Ze, looking down at Xiao Ze, looking at the beautiful girl who suddenly appeared in front of him. Although from Xiao Ze's perspective, the girl's pretty face was upside down, but it did not affect the girl's initial breathtaking beauty at all. Xiao Ze is the same age as Xiao Xun'er, a few months older than her, and 1 year younger than Xiao Yan. The two of them practiced at the same time. Because Xiao Ze was bound to Xiao Xun'er, he had 10 times the feedback and his practice speed was amazing. He often instructed Xiao Xun'er and even helped Xiao Xun'er warm up her meridians. Of course, because of the system, his strength increased greatly, and his control over Dou Qi was also very high, so warming up the meridians only requires connecting both hands, which can help Xiao Xun'er warm up the meridians throughout the body. Although the use is not that great, but Xiao Ze's help made Xiao Xun'er feel warm at the time. The relationship between the two also became very good, and they have been childhood sweethearts until now. Of course I'm happy. I'm just lying here thinking about someone. The smile on Xiao Xun'er's face froze, and there was a hint of unhappiness in her tone. Brother Xiao Ze, are you thinking about a beauty? Yes. I'm thinking about a beauty named Xiao Xun'er. Slippery tongue. Xiao Xun'er laughed and scolded softly, but the unhappiness in her tone had disappeared without a trace, and her smile returned. Cousin Xiao Yan seems to have had an accident. Xiao Xun'er sat down, looking at the tall test stone tablet in the distance, and said to Xiao Ze thoughtfully, please read the book carefully. Now I recommend you to read the book carefully. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you. Chapter 3. Treat others as they would have you treat them. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Zhan's face was a little livid, and he waved his sleeves and left with Xiao Yan and Xiao Ze. Before leaving, Xiao Ze glanced at the triumphant Xiao Ning. The elder took Xiao Ning away with a smile. He was really happy to be able to suppress Xiao Zhan in this matter. Xiao Ning was even more so. The genius who was once high above was knocked down by a few punches. The joy in his heart was beyond words, and what happened here spread throughout the Xiao family at a very fast speed. He completely confirmed the name of the fallen genius. Father, I'm fine. If it doesn't work, I'll hide from them in the future. Xiao Yan said to Xiao Zhan with a wry smile, and Xiao Zhan was worried. Yener, you've suffered. It's also useless for your father. It's been so long, and I still can't find out the reason why your fighting spirit is declining. Xiao Yan was stunned. He didn't tell Xiao Zhan that his fighting spirit was declining. Xiao Ze, who was supporting Xiao Yan, explained, Father saw it a long time ago, but since you don't want to say it, Father didn't ask, but was secretly looking for the reason. Xiao Ze said calmly in his heart, to be honest, Xiao Zhan is a very good father. He treats all children equally. In the original book, Xiao Zhan can make Xiao Yan willing to call him father, so naturally he can make Xiao Ze do the same. Fourth brother, you also know, that Xiao Yan suddenly felt that his concealment for the past year seemed to have become a joke. Third brother, we meet often, not to mention we are brothers. Although you have been busy practicing this year, you have met me many times, and I can still see some clues. Xiao Yan nodded silently and said bitterly, so, even father can't solve my decline in fighting spirit, Xiao Yan sighed slowly. His third child can be said to make him the proudest and most worried. Unlike the eldest, the second went out to make a living early, and unlike the fourth, he was so unknown, but he won't worry himself. The room fell silent for a moment. Outside the room, Xiao Xun'er stood in the distance waiting. She said softly, "Old Ling, can you tell why his fighting spirit is declining? It seems that he is being absorbed by some unknown force. As long as he practices and stores fighting spirit in his body, it will be absorbed." Ling Ying could not detect the existence of Yao Lao, but he could sense the situation in Xiao Yan's body. Xiao Xun'er nodded. She was just curious for a moment and did not intend to help. Of course, if brother Xiao Ze asked her for help, it was not impossible, but brother Xiao Ze probably still thought that he was just an ordinary child of the Xiao family, right? Thinking of Xiao Ze, Xiao Xun'er showed a faint smile on her face. Ling Ying, who was guarding in secret, had mixed feelings in his heart. Looking at the relationship between the eldest lady and the Xiao family boy, he was also a little troubled. After all, he knew the identity of the young lady, and the gap between the two could definitely be called a world of difference. The possibility of finally achieving a positive result was extremely low. Even if the young lady insisted, she would probably be opposed by the old guys in the family. He wanted to persuade the young lady to cut off this relationship that would never have a result, but he didn't know where to start. In the end, he could only guard the young lady silently. Not long after, Xiao Yan, the head of the Xiao family, came out with a sad face. Seeing Xiao Xun'er, Xiao Yan was stunned. Of course, he knew that Xiao Xun'er was very close to his fourth son, but he was not in the mood to chat with Xiao Xun'er now. He just nodded simply as a greeting and left in a hurry. After a while, Xiao Ze came out and closed the door before leaving. Seeing Xiao Xun'er waiting for him, Xiao Ze smiled faintly. Xiao Xun'er took the initiative to greet him, leaning forward slightly, and looking at Xiao Ze's expression with a pair of bright and moving eyes. "Brother Xiao Ze won't let it go, right?" "Of course. He is my third brother. Do you really think anyone can beat him?" Xiao Ze still had a smile on his face, but his eyes were a little cold. Since the elders said that they are not suitable to participate in the competition between the younger generations, then use the competition between the younger generations to solve this matter. "Xun'er, let's go and have a big fight with brother Xiao Ze," Xiao Ze said with high spirits, and Xiao Xun'er nodded obediently and followed behind Xiao Ze. While waiting just now, she also asked Ling Ying about Xiao Ze's current strength. She got an answer that surprised her: Fighter 9 stars. It can be said that it is easy to beat Xiao Ning with the strength of Fighter 9 stars. It is not an exaggeration to say that the big bully the small. Fighting Skills Pavilion. This is the place where the children of the Xiao family choose fighting skills and learn from each other. At this time, Xiao Ning was surrounded by a large group of people, with admiring eyes. "I only threw one punch and knocked him to the ground. He wanted to get up and continue fighting with me. I didn't want to fight him anymore, but he kept coming up." Xiao Ning said proudly. It felt good to step on the reputation of a genius who had been knocked to the ground by him. If more and more people hadn't gathered, and even the clan leader had come, he might have gotten up and fought with me again. "I really didn't want to fight," Xiao Ning said with a pretentious look. Listening to the praises of the crowd around him, Xiao Ning had a smile on his face, and his heart was full of joy. "How can this be? Cousin Xiao Ning, you should continue fighting." The sudden voice made the atmosphere on the field stagnant. Everyone looked at the person who spoke, and when they saw the face of the person clearly, everyone's eyes changed a little. Xiao Ze smiled and said, "But this time, let someone else fight you." "I'll do it." Everyone present was silent, looking at Xiao Ze with a little doubt in their eyes, but also a little doubtful. Xiao Ze had a strong momentum, which made them dare not act rashly. Xiao Ning came to Xiao Ze with a faint smile. "Are you here to avenge your fallen genius brother?" Xiao Ze also smiled back. "Yes." "What, you don't dare to take it? Oh, you beat your brother and you come to your brother. I want to see how powerful you are." The two walked to the martial arts field, and everyone surrounded them and made a large enough field for them. Xiao Ning stood in the field, pretending to be cool and letting Xiao Ze start first. "Then I won't be polite." Xiao Ze's expression did not change, and his figure quickly stepped forward. A layer of light blue douqi shone on the fist. By the time Xiao Ning reacted, it was too late. A punch suddenly hit Xiao Ning's abdomen. Xiao Ning was knocked to the ground directly. Xiao Ze took advantage of the victory and rode on Xiao Ning. He pressed Xiao Ning's arms with his knees, making it impossible for him to protect his head. At the same time, the fist kept hitting Xiao Ning's head, and a layer of light blue Dou Qi wrapped around it. The onlookers widened their eyes. It's not an illusion. It's really the brilliance of attribute Dou Qi. After becoming a fighter, choose your corresponding attribute skills, transform the milky white attributeless Dou Qi, and turn it into attribute Dou Qi to appear this scene. In other words, what they are seeing now is a real fighter who is beating a Dou Qi practitioner. Please read it, readers. Now I recommend you to read it. Please move your hands and pull to the last page of the book. Thank you. Chapter 6. You pay for the compensation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Since Xiao Ze showed his strength, the elder has angered everyone. If everyone didn't know what Xiao Ze's strength meant before, then after Xiao Zhan's explanation, no one dared to ignore Xiao Ze's future potential, guaranteed Dou Wang, with a high probability of Dou Huang, and even the pursuit of the legendary Dou Zong. This is a very high evaluation, but with Xiao Ze's talent, he can afford it. 11-year-old 9-star fighter. Many of them may waste most of their lives and only become 9-star fighters. The gap between them, like a natural chasm, makes them believe that Xiao Ze can achieve success in the future. Great Elder, you deserve it. You dared to attack the future Dou Wang. If you hurt him, you will be the sinner of the Xiao family. That's right. If the Xiao family has a Dou Wang, even the legendary alchemist may move into the Xiao family. At that time, there will be no shortage of elixirs for cultivation. If there is a Dou Wang strongman sitting in the seat, maybe the cultivation method I will practice in the future will at least be a high-level yellow rank. That everyone was talking about it, and they had endless reverie about the help Xiao Ze would bring to the Xiao family in the future. Xiao Ze felt a little embarrassed when he heard it. Of course, if he really reached that kind of strength in the future, he would also be willing to give the Xiao family some help within his ability. The great elder's face turned blue and purple. However, this time it was not because of the injury in his body, but because of the discussion and accusations of him by everyone. Xiao Zhan sneered and said to the great elder, "Now, do you have any objection to my punishment for you?" Hearing this, the great elder's face changed, and finally he sighed slowly. "I am willing to accept the punishment and temporarily resign from the position of the great elder. If I commit the same offense again, I will abandon my cultivation and leave the Xiao family." As the great elder said dejectedly, the entire Duji pavilion was in an uproar, and everyone turned their eyes to Xiao Ze. They recognized the punishment of the clan leader. They also deeply realized the value of Xiao Ze, this genius. Xiao Zhan continued, "Since the great elder has admitted your fault, then by the way, the cost of repairing the Duji pavilion and the cost of treating the injured Xiao family children present will be covered." Ah, that the great elder was stunned. He didn't expect Xiao Zhan to be waiting for him here. The cost of repairing the Duji pavilion venue is not a big deal, but most of the injuries of the Xiao family children are because of you. I have to pay for this money. The great elder's heart was bleeding. Now that he resigned from the position of the great elder, these expenses would have to be deducted from his own personal treasury. How could this not make him bleed? Those Xiao family members who were injured by the impact of the battle cheered. Originally, they thought that they would suffer this loss in silence. Unexpectedly, the clan leader was considerate enough to consider them. Let the elder give them the cost of treatment. How could they not be happy? After all, if they were injured, treatment would also cost money. The Xiao family does not give much gold coins every month, and they feel distressed to spend it on this. If the elder paid for it, they would not feel distressed. After all, it is not their own money. Amid cheers, the elder found Xiao Ning. Xiao Ning turned into a rolling gourd due to the impact of the aftermath of the battle, and happened to hit the wall and fainted. The elder carried Xiao Ning with a distressed look on his face, and left the fighting pavilion amid cheers. After all, he is his own grandson, and he has to take the blame for the trouble he caused. On the other side, Xiao Zhan also led Xiao Ze out of the fighting pavilion. When they reached a remote corner with no one around, Xiao Zhan stopped and said to Xiao Ze unhappily, "Ze, you gave your father a big surprise. A 9-star fighter. Xiao Yan pressed his fingers on his temples and felt a little dizzy from the impact of happiness. I didn't expect the matter to be so big, but this should be considered a shock. Xiao Ze laughed and said jokingly. You know it too. Xiao Yan also smiled and said, now, take advantage of this incident to get the elder out of office. It can also deter other people in the family, so that Yener will not be subject to rumors or even fists. After all, who doesn't want to step on a former genius? Xiao Yan said with emotion, then looked at Xiao Ze with a request on his face. Ze, you have to help your third brother more in the future. If your strength allows, find out why your third brother's fighting spirit disappeared inexplicably. Yeah, but father, you have to help me turn down some social events. I didn't show my strength before because I didn't want to deal with those things. Xiao Ze nodded and said. Xiao Yan patted his chest and promised, saying proudly. Don't worry. Nothing can disturb you, just practice with peace of mind and get stronger quickly. After a while, Xiao Ze watched Xiao Yan leave. He could feel that Xiao Yan was happy from the bottom of his heart, and his footsteps when he left seemed very high-spirited. Xiao Ze stood there, thought about it, and then turned around and went to the back mountain. When he came to the back mountain, in the green, Xiao Ze really saw that figure. The girl's long black hair fell softly until she reached her hips. And she was wearing a light blue dress. A white jade belt was tied around her waist, revealing her slender waist that was not even a hand's worth. As if she noticed someone coming behind her, the girl turned around and saw that it was the person she was waiting for, and immediately smiled. Brother Xiao Ze. I knew you were here waiting for me. Xiao Ze stepped forward and stood side by side with Xiao Xun'er. After all, this is where we often stay. Xiao Xun'er smoothed her hair that had been blown away by the wind. Speaking of which, brother Xiao Ze is making a big splash today. I'm afraid there are countless little fans in the entire Xiao family. You little girl, are you jealous at such a young age? Xiao Ze said, and deliberately sniffed around, as if he was smelling the non-existent smell of acetic acid in the air. Hate. Xiao Xun'er let out a coy sound and patted Xiao Ze gently. To be honest, brother Xiao Ze will probably have countless little fans in the future. It's not the same as before, and I don't like to have contact with them. Xiao Ze shrugged, turned his head and said seriously to Xiao Xun'er. In the past, I kept a low profile and they didn't want to contact me. Now that I'm in the limelight, I don't want to contact them. That's right. Xiao Xun'er chuckled. She has the absolute right to say what Xiao Ze said. Since they started practicing together at the age of 4, the two of them basically spent most of their time together except sleeping. Childhood sweethearts and childhood sweethearts are no joke. Therefore, Xiao Xun'er also knew that what Xiao Ze said was true. Xun'er, would you like to warm up your meridians again? You have reached the 9th level of Dou Qi and are ready to condense the whirlpool of Dou and become a fighter. Condensing the Dou cyclone has very strict requirements on the meridians. There is nothing wrong with strengthening the meridians a bit. Warm and nourish the meridians. Xiao Xun'er's green-white fingers as delicate as pearls gently touched her lips, pretending to be coquettish. Brother Xiao Ze, do you really want to use your fighting spirit to travel through all the meridians in my body? That I beg all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you. Chapter 7, Warming Up the Meridians and Teaching Fighting Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the open space between the trees, Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Ze sat opposite each other, their palms tightly pressed together. A stream of pure Dou Qi from Xiao Ze flowed through Xiao Xun'er's palms and traveled all over his body. Xiao Ze's Dou Qi attribute was water attribute, and it was thanks to the technique Xiao Xun'er gave him that he was able to successfully transform Dou Qi. The level of the technique was not too high, only the low level of Xian level, but the advantage was that the Dou Qi transformed was mild and easier to control. If Xiao Ze was fire attribute, he would not dare to warm Xiao Xun'er's meridians after he was promoted to Doujia. With the scorching and violent fire attribute, if you dare to let other people's Dou Qi enter your body will be damaged at any time. The light blue water attribute Dou Qi gradually permeated Xiao Xun'er's body, making her body glow with light blue light. Xiao Xun'er's skin, which was already white enough to rival jade, was even more dazzling against the background of this light blue light. Even if you observe carefully, you can see the blood vessels as small as hair under the skin. The two were in a state of cultivation, and they were all focused and breathing steadily. Time passed quickly during the cultivation. After an hour, Xiao Ze slowly stopped the transmission of Dou Qi. It was not because he had exhausted his Dou Qi, but Xiao Xun'er's body had reached its limit and could not withstand any more improvement. Even the most tonic things have their limits, that is, the limit of the body. The extent that can be improved in a short period of time is only so much. Xiao Ze slightly sensed the Dou Qi in his body and consumed about 30%. Fortunately, compared with before he was promoted to a 9-star fighter, the progress is quite huge. When he was still an 8-star fighter, it would consume about 70% of the Dou Qi for 1 hour of warming up, but now it only consumes 30%. Not only did Xiao Ze's Dou Qi increase in quantity, but its quality also greatly improved. Xiao Ze laid a stronger foundation for Xiao Xun'er, and her future strength improvement will also be tenfold feedback to herself. This is why Xiao Ze's Dou Qi cyclone is now dozens of times stronger than that of an ordinary person. And his Dou Qi cyclone has a terrifying ability to absorb Dou Qi. Before, when he blocked the attack of the Great Elder, he actually gathered all the Dou Qi in his body and used the swallow return strike to block it safely. After that, his Dou Qi cyclone absorbed Dou Qi at a very fast speed and restored itself. Only then could he have enough Dou Qi to resist the Dou Qi oppression released by the Great Dou Master. This is the absorption speed after Xiao Ze suppressed it. If he released it with all his strength, he could even form a strange phenomenon of Dou Qi gathering in his body around his body. This is something that only high-level practitioners can do. Of course, Xiao Ze would not use this kind of thing unless it was an emergency, because a large amount of Dou Qi poured into his body. It was a great test for his meridians. When he tried it for the first time, he felt pain in the meridians that transported Dou Qi. Xiao Ze's thoughts flashed through his mind and he looked at Xiao Xun'er opposite. Because of his water-attributed Dou Qi, Xiao Xun'er was covered with a light layer of water vapor. It was as if she had just taken a bath, and the water vapor on her body had not yet evaporated. She was like a crystal-clear gem, exuding a youthful atmosphere. Xiao Xun'er's eyelashes trembled slightly, and she slowly opened her eyes. At this time, the light blue light on her body had already converged, but as Xiao Xun'er opened her eyes, it was far more dazzling than the real light. It couldn't be more appropriate to describe her as natural beauty. When Xiao Xun'er opened her eyes, she saw Xiao Ze looking at her motionlessly, and 2 red clouds floated on her pretty face. "Brother Xiao Ze, have you seen enough?" Xiao Xun'er joked, and at the same time used Dou Qi to evaporate the water vapor on her body. "Of course I haven't seen enough. If I can, I will definitely keep watching." Xiao Ze laughed loudly, and then stood up and stretched his muscles. Little did he know that Xiao Xun'er behind him flashed his eyes and smiled happily. "Keep watching. I also want to go on with Brother Xiao Ze." "Brother Xiao Ze, I still have some questions about Yan Fan Ji. How can I make further progress?" Xiao Xun'er stood up and asked Xiao Ze. She clearly saw in the Douji pavilion that Xiao Ze relied on the 9-star Dou to resist the attack of the Great Dou Master, and Yan Fan Ji played an indispensable role in this. "I remember that Xun'er, your Yan Fan Ji mastery is at the level of small success, and there is still a distance from the great success. Show it to me, I will see where you are still lacking." Xiao Ze would certainly not refuse. This is the Xian-level Douji that Xiao Xun'er taught him, just to let Xiao Ze teach himself and speed up the mastery of Yan Fan Ji. "No problem." Xiao Xun'er nodded lightly, and golden Dou Qi began to appear on her body. Seeing this, Xiao Ze did not hesitate and directly hit Xiao Xun'er with a palm. Xiao Ze controlled the power, which was probably the level of a 1-star Dou. However, the gap between Dou and Dou Qi practitioners is originally very large, and Xiao Xun'er did not dare to underestimate it. She took a deep breath, raised her hands with a determined look, and fought with Xiao Ze. Pang! Xiao Ze took a step back, his palms trembled slightly, and about 30% of his strength was hit back by Xiao Xun'er. Xiao Xun'er retreated even more. Her body was like a golden butterfly, flying backwards, and finally slowly landed 2 or 3 feet away. Xiao Xun'er slowly exhaled and quickly returned to Xiao Ze. They had just held back their strength, so there was no damage. "Brother Xiao Ze, how is it?" Is there anything I am lacking? I can probably see it. Xiao Ze nodded and said, you have mastered it pretty well, but if you want to go further, you have to understand the essence of Yan Fan Ji. The essence of Yan Fan Ji? Xiao Xun'er tilted her head, a little confused. Yan Fan Ji is essentially to use force to fight back. There are two key points, one is to use force, and the other is to fight back. You have done a good job in balancing the two, but have you ever thought about balancing 50-50 between using force and fighting back? Why can you only return about 30% of my strength in the end? Xiao Xun'er's eyes were somewhat enlightened. Brother Xiao Ze means that I should make a more appropriate adjustment between using force and fighting back. That's right. If you face someone of equal strength or a weak person, you can perfectly use his force to fight back, because his strength does not exceed the limit of your borrowing. But if you face someone who is much stronger than you, whose strength exceeds yours, the limit of leveraging force will not only cause you to get hurt, but also weaken the power of counterattack. Xiao Ze said this and gave an example. Just like when I faced the Great Elder, I knew he was a great fighter, and there was a great level between us. Even if he hit me casually, I couldn't contend with him. So I used Yan Fanji, and used the leveraging technique to the extreme, leveraging force very much. I didn't consider counterattack at all. So what was finally shown was that I easily took the Great Elder's attack without any injury. If you can perfectly coordinate the balance between leveraging force and hitting force, then you have already achieved great success in mastering Yan Fanji. Xiao Xun'er's eyes sparkled when she heard it, looking at Xiao Ze who was teaching his experience endlessly. Xiao Xun'er's eyes flashed with admiration. In Xiao Xun'er's eyes, Xiao Ze seemed to be omnipotent. Many problems can be easily solved in front of Xiao Ze. It was because of Xiao Ze's talent that Xiao Xun'er, who was born in an ancient family, was impressed. Do you understand? Xiao Ze's voice, as warm as the spring breeze, sounded, and Xiao Xun'er nodded vigorously. I understand, we must grasp the scale. There is still a long distance between understanding and application. From now on, I will be your sparring partner, and strive to improve to perfection as soon as possible. Soon, two figures crisscrossed in the woods. After each collision, they would quickly separate, and after a short pause, they would rush towards each other again. Please read the book, readers. Now I recommend you to read the book in full. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you. Chapter 8. Don't mess with him again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Great Elder's courtyard, Xiao Ning woke up from pain. Hiss! Xiao Ning sat up in shock and looked at the surrounding scene with some confusion. His memory is fragmented. The last scene in my memory was of me being beaten crazily by someone else, riding on top of me. The scene after that was so horrific that it made him feel a little unreal, like he was in a dream. Squeak. The Great Elder walked in with a box of ointment, wondering if it was Xiao Ning's imagination. He always felt that his grandfather looked a little too pale today. Grandpa, hiss! As soon as Xiao Ning opened his mouth, he felt the injury on his head. He couldn't help but suck in a breath of air, and the pain was so painful that he almost burst into tears. Don't talk yet, lest you injure the injury on your head. The Great Elder applied the ointment on Xiao Ning's head, which made him feel much more relaxed. Although Xiao Ze beat Xiao Ning all over his head with fighting spirit, he never thought of attacking Xiao Ning and seriously injuring him, but some shock and lessons are needed. Xiao Ze deliberately used his fighting spirit to create this big bump on his head, which was difficult to eliminate and extremely painful. Even with medication, Xiao Ning would still have to feel the pain in the next few days and live with a head full of bumps and a head like a pig's head. What happened to Grandpa? The guy who hit me. Has Xiao Ze been punished? The Great Elder had just finished applying the ointment, and Xiao Ning couldn't wait to ask. It attracted a strange look from the Great Elder. Don't you remember what happened in the Duji Pavilion? Xiao Ning was stunned for a moment, and then began to search the memories in his mind. I remember being pinned down by him and beaten violently. I don't know if it hurt too much. I saw hallucinations. Grandpa, you were fighting with the clan leader. It's not a hallucination, the Great Elder interrupted Xiao Ning. Xiao Ning's eyes showed a bit of surprise, and he looked at the Great Elder with some worry. Grandpa, are you injured? The patriarch is a 5-star fighting master. It's nothing serious. The great elder shook his head. Then, Grandpa, you haven't told me yet, has Xiao Ze been punished in any way? Xiao Ning still couldn't forget Xiao Ze. Although his grandfather applied ointment, he could still feel pain on his head. Without looking in the mirror, Xiao Ning already knew what his head looked like. It would definitely turn into a big pig's head. It is impossible to say that Xiao Ning does not resent Xiao Ze. Hearing this, the great elder sat up straight, looked at Xiao Ning, and said seriously, he has not been punished in any way. Don't provoke him again in the future. Ah. Why? Grandpa, you are the great elder, you must avenge me. Xiao Ning was a little unbelievable. Normally, the great elder was very protective of him. Why would he say such words now and ask him not to provoke Xiao Ze? I have temporarily resigned from the position of great elder. Oh, Xiao Ning, it's time for you to grow up. The great elder sighed and said to Xiao Ning in a serious tone. During the period when Xiao Ning was in coma, the elder prepared the ointment and felt heartbroken when he saw Xiao Ning lying on the bed, but he also figured it out. Now that Xiao Zhan has a proud son, Xiao Ze, who has a very high voice in the family, don't even think about fighting for power with him anymore. Since you are now deprived of your position as great elder, you should be more honest and don't cause any more trouble. After a while, if he makes 1 or 2 contributions to the Xiao family, he can return to his position as the great elder, but if you still go against Xiao Zhan, being revoked and expelled from the Xiao family is probably the lightest punishment. Xiao Ning didn't know about the great elder's psychological changes. When he heard that his grandfather was no longer the great elder, he was stunned like a thunderbolt. How is it possible? The patriarch cannot easily deprive the great elder of his position, right? Xiao Ning said in surprise, and the elder patted Xiao Ning on the shoulder to calm him down. Immediately, he slowly told what happened in the Duji pavilion after Xiao Ning fell into coma. Xiao Ze is a 9-star fighter. Xiao Ning screamed and couldn't help but touch his head. He actually survived the 9-star fighter's fist. Xiao Ning came back to her senses and realized something. It's not that Xiao Ze couldn't do it, but Xiao Ze just gave him a lesson and didn't want his life. Xiao Ning was extremely lucky that Xiao Ze still cared about the friendship between his fellow clansmen. Otherwise, he might not even be able to see his grandfather at this time. The resentment towards Xiao Ze for beating him into a pig's head quickly disappeared. I can't afford to offend, I really can't afford to offend. Xiao Ning couldn't help but muttered, and the great elder looked pleased after hearing this. The great elder is now afraid that his grandson will lose his mind and insist on going against Xiao Ze. That's right, Xiao Ze is something you absolutely cannot afford to offend. Now Grandpa, I have only temporarily lost my position as great elder. The great elder persuaded with earnest words. As long as you perform well in the future, it may not be impossible to return to the position of great elder. As long as Xiao Ze grows up in the future, our Xiao family will definitely gain more development. At that time, by virtue of my position as great elder, I will definitely be able to obtain more training resources for you. You also have to work hard, practice hard, and stop being idle. Xiao Ning looked at the elder's face, which seemed to have aged several years. His eyes were a little moist and his nose felt sore. Grandpa has paid so much for him, endured the humiliation and even tried to please Xiao Ze. He himself cannot act willfully, he must listen to his grandfather's words. I understand, Grandpa, I will never provoke Xiao Ze again. I will apologize to Xiao Yan again when I find an opportunity. The great elder took advantage of the situation and said, it would be better if I could ask Xiao Yan to help me say a few words of kindness to restore my image with Xiao Ze. Yeah. Xiao Ning nodded solemnly. Now, through his grandfather's guidance, he also knows that Xiao Ze is the hope of the Xiao family's future development. There is absolutely nothing wrong with hugging this thigh. Okay, you can rest for a while. You are not allowed to go out again until the injury on your head heals. The great elder helped Xiao Ning lie down, and Xiao Ning seemed to have grown up over this incident. He nodded obediently and lay down on the bed. Back mountain, Xiao Ze dodged and avoided Xiao Xun'er's attack. Okay, let's call it a day. Going too far is not enough. Hearing Xiao Ze's words, Xiao Xun'er also breathed a sigh of relief. After a fierce fight, she was already dripping with sweat. Brother Xiao Ze, I feel that my mastery of Yan's return attack has improved a lot. Well, if you try to master Yan's return attack to a great level as soon as possible, you will be inferior to Jingyi. Yan's return attack, as an advanced Xian-level fighting skill, is enough to challenge you even beyond the next level. After Xiao Ze finished speaking, he took out a box from a hidden corner and opened it to find some common barbecue ingredients. Shall we have barbecue today? Yes, Xun'er, go and see if the rabbit nest nearby has given birth to babies again. Catch 1 or 2 and bring them back. Got the order, Xiao Xun'er said playfully. The figure is like a nimble butterfly, leaping towards the other end of the woods. Xiao Ze stayed where he was, preparing to roast rabbit. Rabbits often overrun the Xiao family's back hill, and sometimes the Xiao family's children are even sent to clean them up. After all, rabbits live in large litters throughout their lives and have a short reproductive cycle. If there are no natural enemies, the population will easily expand. Xiao Ze often took Xiao Xun'er with him to catch rabbits and roast them in the back mountains. It can be regarded as reducing the burden for the children of the Xiao family. After a while, Xiao Xun'er held a rabbit's ears in each hand. One rabbit's feet were twitchy, and the other rabbit's eyes were blurred. Seeing this scene, Xiao Ze couldn't help but laugh, remembering the familiar verses from before. The male rabbit's feet are confused and the female rabbit's eyes are blurred. Of course, both female and male rabbits will have twitching legs and blurred eyes, which cannot be used to tell whether they are male or female. Xiao Ze took it and took a look, and after a little identification, he found that both of them were female rabbits. He handles rabbits with great skill. Soon after, 2 skinned rabbits were placed on the fire. As the flames burned, a layer of golden oil seeped out of the skin and dripped on the flames, making a sizzling sound. As dusk approached, the light in the woods dimmed, leaving only the firelight on their faces. Xiao Ze was concentrating on roasting the rabbit, while Xiao Xun'er sat quietly beside him, narrowing his eyes slightly and looking at Xiao Ze like this. In addition to the chirping of insects and birds, the only sound around was the crackling sound of firewood being burned and exploding. It was a little noisy, but it made the two of them feel warm. I beg all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you. Chapter 9: Xiao Yan's Reaction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early the next morning, Xiao Yan slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air. He felt that the fighting spirit in his body still did not increase, and he couldn't help but smile bitterly on his face. God! Why on earth did you let me enjoy my talent and then ruthlessly deprive it of it? Xiao Yan couldn't help but said. Now, he has not yet become calm and mature after being ridiculed, and his mentality is still a bit unstable. Forget it, today is the time to receive subsidies. Xiao Yan thought for a while and decided to go there in person. After all, there will be many more glares that I will suffer in the future. If I can escape this time, can I continue to hide? It's better to slowly adapt from now on and learn to ignore everyone's eyes. The Xiao family provides gold coin subsidies to underage children, with fixed gold coins every month. On this basis, in order to encourage the children to practice hard, the family will get more gold coins with higher cultivation level. A person like Xiao Yan who had previously cultivated to a 1-star level could get a full 50 gold coins every month. In the future, Xiao Yan has been stuck in the 3rd level of Dou Po, and his monthly gold coins have only been reduced to 20. In Duki continent, an ordinary civilian family, with food and clothing guaranteed, only needs to spend 20 gold coins a year. Xiao Yan thought to himself that the subsidy he would receive later would only be about 20 gold coins. While walking on the road, Xiao Yan suddenly noticed 2 Xiao family disciples not far away. He lowered his head slightly and quickened his pace, until Xiao Yan passed by the 2 Xiao family disciples. He didn't hear their whispers. After he was far away from the 2 Xiao family disciples, Xiao Yan couldn't help but feel a little strange. He just noticed that the 2 Xiao family disciples not only did not treat him coldly, but even had a little fear in their eyes. Especially when they saw him, the 2 Xiao family disciples who were talking instantly fell silent, as if he was afraid that words would hit him. Of course Xiao Yan would not think that his aura as a fighter was still there. After all, he was beaten to the ground by Xiao Ning just yesterday. the name of the fallen genius may have spread throughout the Xiao family now. But Xiao Yan felt that he was not wrong about the fear in the eyes of the two Xiao family disciples. Xiao Yan was confused and soon met the Xiao family's children 2 or 3 times, without exception. They looked at him with a little fear. When they saw themselves, they closed their mouths and dared not speak. This made Xiao Yan's doubts multiply. Could it be that his father issued some prohibition? But even as the patriarch, his father would not be so biased in this regard. This is also particularly likely to cause dissatisfaction among the Xiao family's children, not to mention that there are 3 elders in the clan who have the same power as the clan leader. When Xiao Yan thought of this, in addition to doubts, he also felt a little worried, afraid that his father would do something impulsive for him. At this moment, a sweet cry sounded, and Xiao Yan couldn't help but raise his eyes and look in the direction of the sound. It turned out that when he still had the aura of genius, it was Xiao Mei who had been following him and calling him cousin Xiao Yan. Seeing a slightly familiar person, Xiao Yan also wanted to ask what happened. Xiao Mei, what happened in the family? Everyone's attitude towards me seems to have changed. Xiao Yan did not hesitate and asked directly. Xiao Mei was stunned when she heard this. Cousin Xiao Yan, doesn't he know what happened yesterday? Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows. What happened yesterday? Wasn't it just that he was beaten down? Xiao Yan really didn't know that he spent the entire day yesterday quietly recuperating in his room. Although Xiao Zhan was a witness, he still had to deal with what happened after the great elder stepped down, and he felt that it was not good for him to tell Xiao Yan the news. After all, Xiao Yan and Xiao Ze are both his sons. Which one is better means that it is likely to hurt the other child's self-esteem, so Xiao Zhan decided to let Xiao Yan find out by himself, or let Xiao Ze tell him. Seeing that Xiao Yan really didn't know, Xiao Mei opened her mouth to explain. Yesterday afternoon, 4th young master Xiao Ze went to the Duji Hall, to have a fight with Xiao Ning. Ah! 4th brother. Is he okay? Xiao Yan suddenly became a little nervous. He never expected that the source of the matter was his younger brother. Contrary to what you think, cousin Xiao Yan, cousin Xiao Ze was not only uninjured, he even blocked the attack of the great elder who came in a hurry. When Xiao Yan learned the complete story, he suddenly took a breath of air and was shocked. The 4th brother has actually reached the 9-star fighter. So scary. Xiao Yan was shocked in his heart. He had once reached the 1-star fighter. He became even more aware of how difficult it was to become a 1-star fighter in the short 7 years from the age of 4 to 11, not to mention that Xiao Ze is still a 9-star fighter. After understanding what happened yesterday, Xiao Yan was still a little confused. Even if something like that happened yesterday, wouldn't all the children of the Xiao family be so afraid of me? I met several children of the Xiao family along the way. When they saw me, their eyes were a little frightened, and they didn't even dare to speak in front of me. Xiao Mei nodded and said with admiration in her eyes. Because cousin Xiao Ze said something. Xiao Yan was slightly startled. It seemed to be related to what his 4th brother said. At the same time, he also noticed a slight change in Xiao Mei's expression, worship and admiration. Once, Xiao Mei also showed him such a look. Xiao Mei did not notice Xiao Yan's slightly complicated eyes, but coughed, straightened her body, and raised her chin slightly. Xiao Yan could see that Xiao Mei was imitating someone. This is what cousin Xiao Ze said. Xiao Yan is my 3rd brother, not just anyone can bully him. You people should keep your hands and feet in check, and keep your mouths shut. If I hear any more rumors, or hear it from my 3rd brother, don't blame me for being rude. You and I are of the same generation. According to the elder, they can't interfere in the affairs of the same generation. If you have the time to talk about rumors, you might as well intensify your cultivation. Instead of belittling others, you might as well work hard to improve yourself. Xiao Mei pretended to have a low voice, which was very cute, and Xiao Yan also smiled. Is this really what his 4th brother, who is usually very low-key, said? But Xiao Yan still felt warm in his heart. With the words of the 4th brother, a genius far superior to himself, the people in the family would definitely not dare to gossip about him or ridicule him. Even when they saw him, they didn't dare to talk, for fear of being heard saying bad things about him. Cousin Xiao Yan, do you know? Now many people in the family regard the words of cousin Xiao Ze as a motto to motivate themselves. Xiao Mei's eyes sparkled, and she repeated the last sentence with admiration. Instead of belittling others, it is better to work hard to improve yourself. I can see it. Xiao Yan smiled and nodded. Isn't Xiao Mei in front of him an example? Xiao Yan was of course very happy that he didn't have to endure the ridicule of others. Even the attitude of the family members towards him was more fearful than before. This made Xiao Yan relax a little. I have to work harder next time. Being surpassed by his fourth brother also made Xiao Yan feel a little uncomfortable. He has a strong personality and wants to be a brother who protects his brothers, Xiao Yan said fiercely in his heart. As long as I can continue to absorb Dou Qi to practice, I will never give up. I beg all readers to click and follow the book. I now recommend you to read the entire book. I beg you to move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you so much. Chapter 10 Yan's counterattack is a success. 10 times the feedback. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The woods behind the Xiao family, the sunlight shines through the lush leaves, forming patches of mottled light and shadow. As the two figures move quickly, a breeze is raised, carrying tiny dust flying in the woods, giving the sunlight a shape. Beams of light are formed in the woods, like golden spotlights, gathering brilliance for the battle between the two. Xiao Ze's palms are glowing with light blue fighting spirit, and he slaps Xiao Xun'er slowly. Xiao Xun'er's hands are flashing with golden fighting spirit, like golden streams of light, flowing through her fingertips and palms. In the lush woods, the golden light of Xiao Xun'er's fingers is more gorgeous than the sunlight. Pang. Xiao Ze and Xiao Xun'er's two figures separate as soon as they touch each other. Xiao Xun'er's petite figure flips in the air for a few weeks, and finally slowly falls on the dead leaves, like a beautiful golden butterfly. If there were people who watched in the fighting pavilion a few days ago, they would definitely find this scene very familiar. Xiao Xun'er's movements were almost the same as Xiao Ze's before. Both were so relaxed and graceful, resisting the opponent's attack. Xiao Ze felt as if his palm was slapping on a layer of cotton, and his strength could not be released at all. A few days ago, Xiao Ze still needed to speak from time to time and give a few words, but as time went by, he no longer needed to speak. Xiao Ze had done everything he could, and the rest needed Xiao Xun'er to understand by herself, and in that palm just now, Xiao Xun'er had obviously understood the essence of Yan Fanji. When Xiao Ze thought of this, his mind moved, and he immediately rushed up again, but this time, he suppressed his strength to the 9th stage of Dou Qi. A golden light flashed in Xiao Xun'er's eyes, and her light pink lips curled up slightly. He also approached Xiao Ze, and the golden Dou Qi flowed through his fingertips. Xiao Xun'er's white and delicate palm burst out with powerful power. The result of this contact was completely opposite to the last time, and Xiao Ze's figure was directly blown away. Xiao Ze felt his palms slightly numb, and a smile appeared on his face. As Xiao Xun'er's opponent, he could feel what happened the most. He felt that the palm he just hit was first on a layer of cotton, and then he felt that there was a layer of hard steel behind the cotton. Not only did he return all his strength, but he even strengthened it. This is why Xiao Ze was directly blown away. Xiao Xun'er ran over quickly. Her bright eyes had already narrowed into crescents, and her face was full of visible joy. Brother Xiao Ze, my Yan Fanji is a great success. Indeed, it can accurately adjust the balance between borrowing force and hitting force according to the strength of the opponent, which is enough to be called a great success. Xiao Ze came down from the tree lightly and nodded in praise. Hearing Xiao Ze's praise, Xiao Xun'er's smile became more obvious, with a few sly smiles. Finally, I have reached the advanced stage. I have been so tired these days. Brother Xiao Ze, don't you plan to reward me? Ah, shouldn't you reward me? I have been with you these days, and my body is about to fall apart. Xiao Ze pretended to be surprised and acted weak. It seems so. Then how does Brother Xiao Ze want Xun'er to reward you? Xiao Xun'er said as she approached Xiao Ze, breathing sweetly. When she said the word reward, she even stuck out her pink tongue and moistened her light pink lips. Ahem, I don't need anything, or you can treat me to a big meal. Xiao Ze covered his mouth with his hand, coughed, and said immediately. Feast. Xiao Xun'er looked thoughtful and said, the most upscale restaurant in Wutan City, a full table. Xun'er is very sincere, right? Huh, great, I've heard that the Warcraft feast there is delicious and unforgettable. Xiao Ze clapped his hands in praise, then let's set the time for half an hour later, and we will meet at the gate of Xiao's house. An hour later. Xiao Xun'er suggested, and took a small step back. After all, it's the first time I go out with brother Xiao Ze. I want more time to prepare and take a good bath. Look, I'm sweaty. Sweaty? Xiao Ze repeated, and at the same time moved forward a little, sniffed, and said deliberately. I don't smell sweaty, only a fragrant smell. Poochie, brother Xiao Ze is just talking nonsense, how can someone be sweaty and fragrant? Xiao Xun'er laughed out loud, and did not resist Xiao Ze sniffing around her, but felt a little happy. Yes, isn't my sister Xun'er like this? Xiao Ze's earthy love words flew wildly, and feelings should be cultivated from childhood. Despite this, Xiao Ze has never done anything out of line, they are both still young, and Xiao Ze is very restrained and has not done anything improper to Xiao Xun'er. Xiao Ze also knows that the ancient bloodline in Xiao Xun'er is not stable. Before becoming a saint, it is best to keep a perfect body. This is very important for Xiao Xun'er's growth. Okay, stop saying these embarrassing words. Xiao Xun'er patted Xiao Ze lightly, and then ran back a few steps like a frightened little rabbit. Then with a smile on her face, she waved to Xiao Ze and ran back to her room to prepare. Seeing Xiao Xun'er's figure disappear from his sight, Xiao Ze put his attention back to his system panel. Xiao Xun'er mastered the Great Swallow counterattack, and her strength increased. Congratulations to the host for getting 10 times the feedback. The truth, use the force to fight the force, beginner. After Xiao Ze chose to receive it, he quickly understood what the so-called true meaning was. Similar to a concept, Xiao Ze can create brand new fighting skills by fusing other fighting skills. In the future, Xiao Ze can even use the true meaning of borrowing force as the starting point and create a large number of fighting skills based on it. Mastered a key to creating fighting skills. Xiao Ze was thoughtful, and he was pleasantly surprised by the tenfold feedback this time. Originally, he thought he would be rewarded with a more advanced fighting skill. Unexpectedly, the essence of Yan's counterattack was directly displayed in front of him. It is not impossible for Xiao Ze to grasp the true meaning by himself, however. It may take him decades to practice this type of fighting skills day by day before he can understand the true meaning of using strength to fight. With 10 times the feedback, I saved myself so many years of effort. Of course Xiao Ze was very satisfied. It's time to get ready. Speaking of which, this is the first time I go out with Xun'er. 1 hour is enough time to prepare. As soon as Xiao Ze walked out of the woods, he saw a figure. He couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and walked forward. Third brother, are you waiting for me specifically? Xiao Yan, who was standing there in a daze, came to his senses and saw his fourth brother. This was the first time they had met in a few days, but Xiao Yan felt completely different. Maybe it's because Xiao Ze has an aura of genius that is even more dazzling than what he used to be. Well, I came here specifically to thank you today. Xiao Yan smiled, but there seemed to be a little barrier. Be aware of this. Xiao Ze walked forward unceremoniously, put his arms around Xiao Yan's shoulders, and gently punched Xiao Yan's chest. Third brother. You and I are brothers, why are you saying such polite words? But I didn't cause you to keep a low profile, Xiao Yan said hesitantly. Seeing my brother being beaten and still being able to keep a low profile, am I still a human being? Xiao Ze said nonchalantly, and I used to keep a low profile. I just didn't want to deal with a lot of irrelevant things. I just wanted to concentrate on practicing. Now that I have the talent and my dad to protect me from those things, it's no different to me than before. After receiving Xiao Ze's explanation, Xiao Yan finally breathed a sigh of relief, hugged Xiao Ze forcefully, and said seriously. Fourth brother, thank you, that I beg all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you.